I have been afraid to make this video before very, very recently. And I was afraid to make it because I knew that I hadn't gotten to the core of the answer why I quit. I feel like I'm there now, and I want to share with you guys. So rather than beat around the bush, because I will give you the long story, the short version is that my co-founder and I, Ben, had a large falling out. And that falling out was due to a deep lack of alignment in how we wanted to run the business and how we felt we'd each contributed to the business. And it led to a stalemate between he and I as 50-50 partners and essentially the starvation death of Charisma on Command. The longer version of that story is that, for those of you who don't know, Ben and I started this channel over a decade ago. We've been friends for more than 2 decades. We were best friends in high school. We spoke every day throughout college, even though we lived in different cities. We were thick as thieves. And when we started this business, the whole idea was that it was going to be us together living our dream life. And it was incredible. We went to Brazil. We started this channel. It was never meant to be the size that it got to, but it happened. And then probably 5-ish years ago, I started noticing something about myself that I didn't like. And it was that I was being mean. I was being unkind when he would die in a team video game. I was frustrated by our interactions together and feeling put upon to call him to go to certain events. And I didn't like that about myself. And for a long time, I tried to change and be different and work on whatever was going on inside of me. And it took a long time to see that what was happening there was that resentments from business issues and things I hadn't addressed in other areas of our friendship were surfacing in the areas where it was safe. Because if I got upset in a video game, it didn't mean that we were going to have to end our 20-year codependent streak of doing every single thing together. But if I acknowledged what I was actually feeling, which was under-supported in work, like we had different motivating forces for why we were doing what we were doing, and deeply out of alignment with him, then the worst would have happened, which would have been maybe we would have had to separate. We couldn't have had the togetherness that we'd had since high school. And of course, what you resist persists. I allowed that resentment to build inside of me until I just snapped and said, I don't want to talk anymore. And that was about 2 years ago. And I didn't know at the time exactly all of the stuff that I'm sharing with you now. It was over the course of reflection of years that I sort of realized that one of the key things that was in our business, I think perhaps the easiest way to explain it to someone who wasn't there, without saying that my perception is objectively correct, is that when it came time to add up responsibility for something that maybe didn't go well in the business, if you took the percentage that I would assign to myself of my contribution and the percentage that he would assign to himself for his contribution, we would not add up to 100%. And if you took something that did go well, there was credit to be taken for something, and you took the amount that I would authentically give to myself and the amount that he would authentically give to himself, you had a number that was greater than 100%. And there was no amount of dialogue that changed that. And in sensing that we were seeing the world in fundamentally different ways, different ideas about what was causing particular effects, different ideas about what was driving the heart of the business. And in fact, that was a key piece of it, was that I looked at it perhaps more artistically, romantically, spiritually even. We were not on the same page. And not addressing that for years, not allowing this honest and authentic decision to split to actually occur when it probably could have occurred in a much more gentle, loving way years before, created the huge rift. So since then, I've reached out to him. We've started to reconnect. We've talked about what broke down in the friendship, and we've talked about what happened in the business relationship. And we still don't see things exactly the same in the business relationship, which speaks to the depth of lack of alignment that we have. But they've been good conversations. They've been connecting. They've been healing. Lots of wonderful things have come from it. One of those wonderful things is that I have purchased all of Charisma on Command. So I am 100% owner of Charisma on Command from now, probably until eternity, because I cannot imagine letting this thing go at this point. And I'm very, very excited about that. Without being too sappy, it feels like a piece of my heart is back home. And it was not on Ben that it strayed. It was the codependent aspects in me that prized doing things with the people I love above doing things in a way that was authentic to me. And that's a pattern that has run through all of my life as I have tried to take family and friends into the weird fringe life that I have set up for myself. And I've seen this pattern play out over and over again, and I am ready to put an end to it. So in terms of what to expect, I'll start with Ben. I believe, and there's certainly an aspect, and I've heard this from Ben, that elements of the split, while incredibly painful, were wonderful for him in that he started living a life that was much more in line with, I think, where he would have gone without my influence, which is he immediately started a family. He now has 2 children. He has a wife. He's a dedicated father. It's the thing that I see when I talk to him, light him up and move him, and feels like where his heart is and was always headed. And so I'm very, very happy for him. In terms of content, he may decide to make something, but right now that's not what he wants to do. If that changes, I will tell you guys. I want you guys to be able to find anything that he makes. I want him to be able to access all the people that might have liked content that he made. Just because I don't necessarily want to do it with him anymore does not mean that I don't want the world to hear his voice. So that's him. In terms of me, I'm so excited to get back to creating. It was a self-inflicted wound that I stopped making videos in an attempt. It was so backwards to let him catch up to the contribution that I felt I had contributed by kneecapping my own creative instinct, which just hurt all around. And it was a totally codependent, backwards, unconscious way of dealing with this whole problem. So I'm excited to get to creating again. I'm so excited to share everything that I've learned. These are things like boundaries, codependency, coping mechanisms, projection, all of this kind of stuff. And I'm excited to do it in the Charisma on Command way, which is in a way that is fun for you guys, whether it's wrapped with Robert Downey Jr. or Game of Thrones or whatever is cool nowadays. I'm so excited to make fun videos about the things that I wish I had known 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. So that's number one. Look out for way more videos, probably at least one a week. Well, I shouldn't say at least. Look out for one a week to start. Some old Charisma on Command videos, some new formats, some podcasts. I'm going to start to incorporate the podcast channel in a more meaningful way and bring segments over to the main Charisma on Command channel. That's one thing. The second thing is I want to make the most powerful program on uncovering the self-confidence that you already have that has ever existed. I want it for my fans. I want it for myself. It is truly, it just speaks to me. That's what I want to do. And so I've learned a tremendous amount. That's going to take time. If you're already in Charisma University, look out for improvements. I don't know exactly what those will be, but I want it to be excellent. And also look out for new programs, because while Charisma University is an online at your own pace program, I want to have other things that are cohort based and in person where you're interacting with other people. That's been hugely, hugely helpful for me as I've gone through this entire multi-year transformation, really. And so I want to offer that in the unique Charisma on Command way to anyone who has felt connected to this content. And that's what's up. That's why I quit. That's why I'm back. I just want to say at the end of this, thank you guys. If you have ever watched, are watching, or will watch a video, it has been an honor and a privilege to share everything that I've learned with you guys. The channel is a thinly veiled diary of mine where I try to share the most meaningful pieces of advice and guidance that have helped me in the struggles that I've had in my life, in the hopes that you can move more gracefully through them in yours. And whether that's, what do I text this girl, or how do I talk to my boss to get a promotion, or what do I say to keep the conversation going, or how do I deal with all of the stuff that I've been going through in the last couple of years, that's what I want to offer. It's truly a gift to do it. And whether you love it or hate it or idealize it or demonize it or disagree or agree. I so appreciate literally all of it. It is an honor and a pleasure, and I'm so excited to be back.